Good evening. I am taking a one-day holiday on my day. I will release a pre-recorded stream on my birthday, celebrating my birthday. But on that particular day, I will be off. Not only will I be off from work, I'm going to be off duty when it comes to my mother as well. And that is because I want peace and tranquility and harmony on that day. And she, based upon last year, which was the only thing I asked for, I just wanted some peace. And that request proved to be a little too much for her. So, this year I'm going to take that out of her hands. That goes back to when I was saying previously about having an issue and just sitting and sulking about it. That doesn't help. You feel it for the moment, at least that's my perspective on this. Feel it for the moment, and then start strategizing on how you're going to change it, make it better. Because what is the point of rehashing something that you were not happy about or you found unpleasant incessantly, but doing nothing to make a change except for sitting around and rehashing to anyone that will sit there and listen to you rehash it. And maybe it's because that has always been her way of handling things. And maybe I made a conscious choice that that was not going to be my method. And that's not to say that if you have people who are close to you, you don't discuss these things with them. But in addition to doing that, put some action behind it. I find that that gives you, that truly releases it. So whether that is finding a solution, and in some cases there really isn't a solution. You have to simply accept that situation. And sometimes acceptance doesn't come easy, which is why, well, part of the reason why I stay in therapy. Having this vlog with you all is cathartic. Because there's some action. With that in mind, I have no plans of going anywhere near her or anywhere or occupying any spaces that I feel would bring negativity on my day. To that end, I have not only taken off my birthday, I've taken the whole weekend, made sure the whole weekend made it a long weekend. So I don't work anywhere near my birthday. I don't work on my birthday. And I will have nothing to disturb my peace on my birthday weekend. That's my plan of action. Which is also why I will be recording my birthday stream early. And you'll see it on my birthday. It'll play on my birthday. This is going to air as part of my birthday weekend. But gratitude. This is my 53rd year on this planet, and I have so much to be grateful for. My life isn't perfect, but I'm blessed, and I see that I'm blessed, and I'm thankful for everything I have. The few people in this world to care for me, I'm thankful to have them. I'm thankful that my mother fed me when I couldn't feed myself, clothed me when I couldn't clothe myself, provided shelter for me when I couldn't provide shelter for myself, gave me a good environment in which to grow up in. Inasmuch as she could demonstrably show love, she did. Inasmuch as she had the capacity for giving love, she did. And I'm thankful for that. She is excellent. Well, I will say was, because she doesn't have to do that now. She doesn't handle that now, but in the past when she did, she sacrificed. In part for our benefit, but in part because any sacrifice that she's made sure but willed that over our heads. She would buy for herself last to make sure that each school year I had nice new clothes, that her husband, whom she loved and adored, had a closet full of suits so that he can go to work, full of ties, full of shoes. You know how when you own a home, it's always a project. It's never done. So not only was the house her project, but making sure that his closet was always full of suits, full of shoes, full of ties. That was another one of her projects. And two things she did do as far as homekeeping is concerned. She cooked, and in her day, she was second to none. No one could beat her cooking. And she did laundry. And I remember back in those days where she would have his shirts out on the ironing board with the starch. And when she finished, you'd think that his clothes had been sent to the dry cleaners. And I remember he particularly had an issue with the what was it, ring around the neck thingy? You know, where people, the dirt or sweat or what happens accumulate on the neck of dress shirts. And I can recall her scrubbing and pre-soaking to get that out, to remove it. I remember her going to Duffields and other farms to pick as a means of keeping more money for other things. Because generally, she would cook Monday through Friday, and on Saturday, we'd order something from one of the fast food restaurants or go out to eat or something of that nature. And of course, she'd cook again on Sunday. I remember when, again, I was very lonely and isolated in home and away from home. So a decision had to be made. We could have a pool built, or we could have an addition put on the house. And her husband, whom she adored, he wanted one of those rooms. It's like a sunroom where it's very breezy, and of course you can shut it down or close all the windows and stuff like that in the wintertime. But like for summertime, you could sit out there and just catch the breeze, but the sun wouldn't come in. Forgive me, I'm having a brain fart, and I cannot remember what you would call that room. But he wanted one. Of course, I wanted a pool. I can remember 2 occasions, in which my mother rallied to get me something that I truly wanted. And she did campaign so that I would get the pool. So, and having that pool did make me happy. It gave me something to do. Because it was something that was wonderful when they wanted to have parties, but for me, it was something that I could do myself and enjoy. But somehow once you have it, there seems to be a lot more pool parties in the summer docket than ever before. And I had to learn to care for that myself. her husband, he relented, and so we had the pool. But I remember him telling me, the pool is yours. It's your responsibility. And I struggled that first year, learning how to get the pH balances with the chlorine and battling the algae, and it was tough. But it took me that one summer. It did. It took me that one summer to really learn to get it together. But once I got it together, it was nothing. I was like, yes. So I am grateful. That pool brought me many hours of peace and joy. And it brought them peace and joy. The second time that she rallied behind me was when her husband constantly complained about me eating up everything, particularly sweets. My mother always cooked so much that you couldn't possibly eat up all the food. That was just impossible. But sweets, on the other hand, I could go through them. I had a sweet tooth. And as I told you all previously, I'm an emotional eater. So you can just imagine. And when I am feeling lonely or sad or angry, sweets, they were my friends, they were my company. And they would eat things, what they would say by spells, but once in a blue moon. Pies and cakes and things of that nature, if left to them, would go bad. Because, the day it's made, or they'd have a piece, but really that was about it. Maybe a piece here, maybe a piece there, but for the most part, anything that was sweet would go bad because they would never really return to it enough to complete it. So that sort of fell to me. But that disturbed him. So one of his complaints was I was eating all the sweets. And he was highly upset over that. So the next time we went out shopping, my mother bought 4 pies. She told me, this pie is for you. This pie over here, you don't touch it. I don't care what comes or what goes, how long it stays in the refrigerator. Don't you touch it. And I know my mother likes to tell everyone how bad of a child I was, how I was terrible because, I was ripping and roaring in the streets and drugging and carrying on. Every time they turned around, they had to come and get me from the police station. None of those things. And I certainly didn't disobey something that was stated so clearly. I was guilty of playing lawyer as a child, whereas If something wasn't expressly stated, I would look for a way around it. But if you said don't go across the street, I didn't go across the street. I was obedient in that way. So she expressly said, do not touch X pie. And I didn't. And she let that pie sit there. She let that pie spoil. And once that pie spoiled, she brought it to his attention and told him, it's a good thing that we have someone in the house that eats up things so we do not waste money. And that moving forward, she didn't want to hear anything ever again about me eating up something. I was grateful for that. I was grateful for that. Because I mentioned previously about how he would come home from work and throw that Philadelphia Inquirer into the dining room. A room that I constantly was cleaning and vacuuming and trying to keep clean because it was only used on special occasions. So there was no reason for me to have to constantly go in there and remove a paper. But that was not one of the battles that she was going to take up and fight. Not related, but kind of related. I do remember one time, and this is before I had the chore of cleaning. Between the first floor and the second floor, there was a landing. And on that landing, they had like this little, I guess you call them like knick-knack stand. And he came up the stairs. Man, he brought to my mother's attention there was some dust on it. Without missing a beat, my mother turned and told him, if you see dust, you better clean the dust. And that was the last time that he ever brought anything like that to her attention. Thank you. I hope you all enjoy my birthday stream, which will be pre-recorded. And you're seeing this on my birthday weekend. Yay, birthday weekend! Which I hope is much better than last year's. Last year's was booty. Not because at that time I had to feed and clean my mother, but she was particularly vicious and nasty that weekend, and particularly on my birthday. It was horrible. And when her birthday came around, she wanted balloons and cake, and everyone should celebrate their birthday. And I guess the little child in me was wondering, well, shouldn't mine have had the little piece that I asked for as my celebration? All right. Thank you all.